And good morning, everybody. Good morning. As we're allowing people to come on, I just want to welcome you this morning to this press conference, this HALT Solitary Confinement Act bill press conference this morning. First of all, I got to start off by saying happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. As you can see, I have my green on. And today, although my name is Jerome Wright, you can refer to me as Jerome O'Wright because everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. So good morning. And to the women and everybody else, happy Women's History Month. Let's not forget that, for without women, none of us would be here, I dare to say. So happy Women's Month, Women's History Month. And today is a great day. I must say, it is a momentous occasion. It is a big day for this state. It is a big day for this nation. And we hope it is a big day globally because we hope to export what we've been able to accomplish thus far, although we're not done yet. What we've been able to accomplish thus far, we hope to spread humanity worldwide again. So thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to be doing some things we've never been done before today, because a lot of things that have never been done are starting to be done. In the prophetic words of the legendary crooner, Sam Cooke, change is gonna come. And with the passage of HALT by the Assembly, the step towards that change has already began. And I want to thank the Assembly leader, Speaker Carl Heatsey. I want to thank our representatives in every committee and every one of the 101 members who voted yesterday to pass the HALT Solitary Confinement Act. And of course, I want to give a humongous shout out to our lead sponsor, a man who needs no introduction, but I will do it anyway, Senate Pro Temp, a member Aubrey. Thank you so much. So what's never been done is, one, we've never done this with a co-host. I am going to be co-hosting this show, this press conference this morning with my dear friend and colleague, Tiana Taylor. And so we enjoy the ride. We're going to do this. We're trying to change up everything. Since change is going to come, it should start with us, and we're going to do that today. We have for you an eclectic group of people speaking, everyday people, influential people, religious leaders, leaders from the community, survivors. We have everybody, including the legendary Curtis Blow, who may even make a new song and a comeback after this, because change gonna come, brother. That's your new hit. I'm telling you, change gonna come, because HALT Solitary is about to change the way we treat human beings who are incarcerated. So today we talk about Incarcerated Lives Matter. So before I go any further, thank you for joining us. And one thing we've never done before, we haven't gone national. And today we're going to kick off this campaign, this press conference, with some national representation. Yeah, we brought out the big guns today because we need to make sure that after the Senate, which is reported will be voting on HALT tomorrow, after that is done, the governor has to sign this bill and make it law. So without further ado, I first want to bring to you our U.S. Representative Mondaire Jones. Thank you for joining us, Representative Jones.
And thank you, Jerome, for that really kind introduction. I am proud to join all of you in support of the HALT Solitary Confinement Act, because it is time to end the torture of pervasive, prolonged isolation. Some people say that torture is a strong word, but the fact is there's no other word for it. Let's remember what solitary confinement really means. It means being locked in a tiny concrete cell. It means having your every need, from medical care to human contact, depend on the whims of the officers who pass by your cell. It means interacting with no one but those officers. The isolation that most of us have felt from social distancing during COVID-19 pales in comparison. Tens of thousands of New Yorkers are subjected to solitary confinement for weeks, months, years, and even decades. 80% of those people are Black or Hispanic, and they are disproportionately transgender and gender non-conforming. Solitary confinement has created a mental health crisis in our state's prisons, the consequences of which are devastating. From severe anxiety and psychosis to the increased risk of death behind bars or upon release. Solitary doesn't even achieve what its supporters claim it achieves. Caging a human being alone for months or years does nothing to rehabilitate them. And it's costing New York State taxpayers $132 million each year. What really improves well-being and safety are therapy and pro-social programming. So the HALT Solitary Confinement Act would end much of this senseless torture, and I'm so excited about that. I'm happy about what happened yesterday in the Assembly, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Senate pass this thing later this week. It is an important step towards a more just and equitable criminal legal system, which is something that is personal for me and something that I know we all care about. Together, we will take many more steps in the weeks and years ahead. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Representative Mondaire Jones, for coming out and showing up for the HALT Solitary campaign. We got to end it. I want to introduce myself. My name is Tiana Taylor. I'm an organizer with the HALT Solitary campaign, a policy and communications associate with the People's Campaign for Parole Justice, and a daughter directly impacted by incarceration. We're so thankful to have so many people from different walks of life here to celebrate the movement of the HALT Solitary Confinement Act through the New York State Assembly and to urge Governor Cuomo to enact the bill after it passes in the Senate. The passage of this bill gives hope and a light at the end of the tunnel for so many people, families, and communities who have suffered from the devastating effects of solitary confinement. We are thrilled to have a large lineup of really powerful speakers today, and we ask that everyone keep their comments to 1 to 2 minutes so everyone can be heard. And now I would just, and as you all know, I'm co-hosting with Jerome, which is awesome. And I just want to introduce our next speaker, Darlene Mcday, a HALT Solitary campaign member, and also the mother of a son who died in solitary.
Darlene, you're on mute.
Hi, my name is Darlene Mcday. Many of you may have heard me speak before. I'd like to tell you the story about my son. His name was Dante Taylor. He was 22 years old when he died in solitary confinement. This is Dante. And this is Dante and me, one of the last times we got to see each other. Dante had smoked a joint, according to what the jail told me. And because of that, they decided he needed to be in solitary confinement. He was put in keep lock for 3 months. During that time, you know, I heard several assemblymen talk yesterday about all the things that people can have in solitary confinement. And I don't know where they got their information from, but my son was not allowed to have anything. He was taken away from his family for 3 months. He had no visits, no phone calls, nothing. He wasn't allowed to buy commissary. And as far as I know, he wasn't allowed to have lawyer visits either. What happened to my son should never happen to anybody. To not have that supportive family for 3 months is absolute torture. But then what happened next is even worse. On October 7th of 2017, Dante was taken from his cell after being beaten by several correction officers. They beat him to the point of being unrecognizable. He screamed for several minutes, according to witnesses, and he was thrown down the stairs while his arms and legs were tied behind his back. The people at the prison claim that they don't know how this happened to him, but it was very obvious, and obvious to the investigators as well, that he was beaten by the guards. Then he was put in a cell by himself, where he was unable to eat because his face was so swollen. He was unable to see because his eyes were swollen shut. And they left him alone to die in solitary confinement. He asked to see someone from mental health, and he was denied that request. He asked to call his mom, and he was denied that request as well. Solitary is absolute torture. I cannot tell you enough. I thank the brave Assembly people that passed the bill yesterday. And I thank the brave Senate people that will pass the bill today. And I pray that Governor Cuomo does the right thing and passes this bill. There are too many people suffering. I want you to know, thank you for your support. Thank you to my HALT Solitary family, because they are just that, family. Don't let another person die like this. The reason I can go on is because of support from people like you. Because every day I suffer the loss of my son, and I pray that it never has to happen to someone else. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darlene. You know, it's thank you, Darlene. I don't know what else to say, but thank you for your courage. To have to live this every day, and for somebody who survived solitary, I can tell you, to have to live what you have to live every day is unbelievable. And again, thank you to the 101 members of our New York State Assembly for doing the right thing. I tell you, we national this morning, and I want to bring to you now a U.S. Representative Grace Meng.
Thank you, Jerome, Tiana, and everyone at this HALT Solitary family for convening us today. Thank you, Darlene, and to all the family members who are not only continuing to suffer from your own loss, but turning that loss into productive, compassionate legislation to prevent these sorts of unfair tragedies from happening to other New Yorkers and people across the country. I'm honored to be here with all of you today, with my colleagues Mondaire and Adriano. And I want to say a special thank you to the sponsors of this incredible legislation, to Assemblyman Chairman Aubrey. Thank you for your decades of leadership on issues like this, on criminal justice reform. It was with Assemblyman Aubrey when I first went to visit Rikers and saw the conditions that so many New Yorkers had to suffer through needlessly. And I just want to say thank you to you, Jeff. To Senator Salazar, we never got to serve together, but I get to witness your amazing work through social media and the news. And thank you for doing what you can for providing equity in all corners of this state for every New Yorker. Just want to give a special shout out as the Senate prepares to pass this legislation to my own state senator, John Liu. And I also share a district with Jessica Ramos as well. And I'm sorry if I missed anyone else. Look, this HALT Solitary Confinement Act is a critical step to reforming our system here in New York, and quite frankly, should be an example of what needs to be done across the country and in our federal system as well. I'm so pleased and excited that this legislation was approved by the Assembly yesterday, and look forward to getting it passed in the Senate. We were all cheering for you all from afar. You all know, the families know more than anyone else that this bill is long overdue. It's desperately needed. And I'm honored to be part of today's effort, to be a small part to push for its enactment. This act would finally end the prolonged solitary confinement of so many New Yorkers. It would especially protect vulnerable individuals, including pregnant women and young people, and those with mental and physical disabilities from solitary confinement, and replace this unjust practice with more humane and effective alternatives. Long-term solitary confinement is cruel, unnecessary treatment for those who are forced to endure it. It is inhumane and it's literally torture. It can lead to severe suffering and lasting damage to one's physical and mental health. And as we've seen, it has taken lives. Among the most disturbing statistics about solitary confinement is that Black and Latino people are disproportionately subjected to it. More than 8 in 10 New Yorkers in solitary confinement are people of color. Over 80%. Black people make up 18% of the population in New York, 48% in state prisons, and 57% in solitary. This is unacceptable and it must end. Solitary confinement makes prisons, jails, and communities less safe. It fails to address and often exacerbates underlying causes of problematic behavior as people deteriorate physically, psychologically, and socially. New York currently places no time limit on the total time that a person can spend in solitary, and it's not okay. This act is the right way, the right vehicle to accomplish that goal. And as my colleague Mondaire said, it would save money. A recent study found that the measure would save the state and local governments over $132 million each and every year.
Oh, no, I'm cleaning this crisp product. You are?
You
know why?
The improvements that we would see to our criminal justice system as a result of enacting HALT cannot be denied or overstated. And in closing, I want to again reiterate my support and underscore the need to make it the law of the land. We must immediately rid our state of prolonged solitary confinement once and for all. And thank you for all your work for so many years on this issue.
Thank you, Rep. Meng. And I need to do a disclaimer here. I don't know how you tell a U.S. rep or them to, you cut them off or you tell them to speed it up. I never know how to do that till I realize that since you work for me, I can tell you, we're going to have to move a little faster, everybody, because they about to fire me from my hosting gig because
sorry.
No, that's okay. But
I missed you all.
No, thank you. I know you've been waiting a long time to say that, and I think people need to hear that. So the people who are going to fire me, they're going to fire me after this is over, but we're going to pick it up from here because we're going to ask our U.S. rep, Adriana Aspilot, and I got it right, I bet you, to please take the mic for 2 minutes, and so we can keep it moving. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerome, Tiana. Thank you so much. I want to congratulate my good friend, Jeff Aubrey, who I served with 14 years in the Assembly. And he's someone that has done great work in criminal justice reform. I was there when he led the Rockefeller drug law reform, which was historic in nature. And I supported that initiative. And of course, he's here, and I see some of my former colleagues. Linda Rosenthal is there. Mike Gianaris is there. I didn't get to serve with John Liu. He was in the city council, and I didn't get to serve with Julia Salazar, who's a great senator, and Jessica Ramos. I see her there as well. Who's that? Natalia, Assemblywoman Natalia is there. She's in my district in the northern west.
Don't forget me, Adriana.
Oh no, all of you are there. Oh, Brad, that's you. All right, Brad and I served together. Yes, Brad is someone that served in the Senate with me. I served in the minority there, and now he's there in the majority getting things done. So thank you all. As you all know, this is a real problem, the solitary confinement. just like the death penalty should be part of and must be part of the past, cannot be part of the future. The rest of the world is looking at us. Really, we are, we are embarrassed, literally embarrassed to have the death penalty, solitary confinement, and these archaic Byzantine forms of punishment. And they really go against the focus of rehabilitation and mental health for our prison system, our correctional system. And so we must get rid of that once and for all. I have a piece of legislation here that does away with the death penalty. And we're also working with Bonnie Coleman on this solitary confinement legislation, ending that. And so we got to do that. It's racist at its very core. There's just no other way to put it. 57% of the population in solitary confinement is Black, and that is racist at its core. Although only 80% of the population in New York State is Black, 57%, close to 58% of the population in solitary confinement is Black. So we must end it once and for all and change that. And so it's going to take our collective efforts. I want to thank all the advocates for the work that you do on a daily basis. Thank you, Assemblyman Aubrey, for the HALT campaign, and Senator Salazar. I know that you guys are going to take that up now. This is an important bill for the Senate to pass, and the governor, of course, must sign it into law. So thank you all for having me here, and I look forward to working with you as we move forward.
You know what? I think I made it. Thank you, first of all. Thank you, Rep. Thank you so much for being here, for what you've said. I think that because we all New Yorkers, we use this New York minute, and that's a longer version than the regular minute that everybody else in the world uses. So can we?
2 minutes is 2 minutes is really 5 minutes, and if you give me another minute, I'll turn it into an hour.
Okay, we're going to use the international minute rule, which is actually 60 seconds, not the New York minute rule.
I see John Lou laughing there.
Without further ado, man, the champion, the person you all would love and know, I don't even need to introduce him, but I just want to say one thing too. While I was incarcerated, Assemblymember Aubrey was one of the people whose name reverberated and permeated the Department of Corrections, because back then he knew that incarcerated lives matter. He never stopped. He made history then, and he's making history right now. And his legacy will be that of a history maker, but a champion for the people. I introduce to you our lead sponsor, champion of the people, the Honorable Jeffrey Aubrey, Senate Pro Temp of the Assembly.
Thank you, Jerome. And I love the way you transpose, like a New Yorker, transpose the name. Jeffrey on Aubrey, you make it Jeffrey Aubrey on. I'll take it any kind of way I can get it. First of all, it's such a pleasure to be with you and see so many friends. You know, these are lonely times for us because we only get to limited contact. Even though I'm in Albany, you know, the halls are lonely and barren, quite frankly, for the most part. And so we miss all of you, both advocates who would be up here pounding on our doors as you have through this entire campaign, and the members who we would work with on a daily basis. I see Harvey up there, a longtime friend and supporter. He, you know, hold him in great esteem, but all of you are just so special. Thank you so very much. I say this to Julia Salazar, thank you for picking up the baton. You know, no race is won. I used to run track too, and I was in high school. And if you didn't have a good baton pass, you were losing the race. So you have taken the baton seamlessly, and I really appreciate it and look forward to your success. I hope they treat you better than they did me last night, because they made me stand around for a good 5-6 hours while we did the work. And that's both Dems and Republicans, because, you know, when you're in Zoom, everybody wants to talk. It does, you know, no matter who said it, it hasn't been said by me. So it was a great experience, a great debate. I think we made our points. I think, we established who we are in the assembly and what we stand for when it comes to this legislation. And so I'm just saying thank you so very much, all of you. I'm going to try and hold to Jerome's international minute, but I could talk forever, as I did last night. I haven't recovered from the evening. I'm still on go, but thank you all. I'm here to support you in the Senate as you do this, and then on to the governor's office, who will have to face the judgment of the people on this one too. So thank you all so very much, and let's keep up the good work. And so much is yet to be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being our champion and lead sponsor. And I'll just keep this quick because we got to keep it moving. Next up, we have Senate Deputy Majority Leader Gianaris. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to make Jerome happy by being quick here. But let me first send my love to Darlene and all the families who have suffered and been affected by this inhumane policy, this torture. I'm not afraid to call it torture because that's what it is. I'm sorry it's taken this long to get it done, but we are now on the cusp of doing it. Jeff Aubrey is an amazing leader, a good friend. He did great work, not just yesterday, but getting this bill that far. And we have Senator Salazar to thank on the Senate side for showing leadership. And I'm proud to tell you that the Senate is going to be passing this bill tomorrow. And so it will be getting to the governor's desk in very short order. And hopefully he won't give us a hard time and he'll sign it. But by the way, if he signs it, we've got supermajority. If he vetoes it, rather, we've got supermajorities in both houses. So let's see what we can do with that if we have to. Hopefully it won't come to that. But thank you to everyone who's fought so long for this. I apologize on behalf of state government for letting this last as long as it did, but we are finally taking care of business and getting it done. The Assembly did it first. We're doing it tomorrow. And hopefully very, very soon we could say this is in the dustbins of history. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Senate Deputy Majority Leader. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Senator Julia Salazar, our lead HALT sponsor. Welcome.
Thank you, Tiana. Just want to first and foremost thank the families, the people who have been directly impacted by the use of solitary. Thank you for your courage. It is not easy after having endured something as traumatic as solitary confinement to then take that traumatic experience and to use it constructively to try to stop this from happening to anyone else. Right now, given that HALT has not yet been passed through both houses and been signed into law, there are people across New York State who are being held for months, years, even decades in solitary confinement. It is cruel, it is torture, and it is beyond time that we finally end the practice of long-term solitary confinement in our state. I really just want to applaud Assemblyman Aubrey, who stood for hours of debate yesterday, and it wasn't the first time that he's had to do that. This is not his first rodeo. He has been a champion for HALT for years, and I thank you, Assemblyman Aubrey, for doing this before I was even a senator, and also to all of the advocates here with us. This would be impossible without you. I'm very much looking forward to finally getting this over the finish line tomorrow in the Senate and passing this bill that is going to make a difference in the lives of thousands of people. Representative Jones mentioned that additionally, part of this is a human cost, and part of it is a fiscal cost that we're going to be saving millions of dollars every year. The long-term savings from ending solitary confinement is something that all of us should also be proud of, because it's not right that state tax dollars are being spent to torture people, to do long-term harm to people's mental health. You know, it's time for us to reinvest that money into our communities, and to actually supporting the rehabilitation and the healing of New Yorkers. With that, I'll wrap up. I know a lot of folks want to speak, and just again want to thank you all. I really am honored to get to be in this movement with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Salazar, for championing this bill. And it's right. Why are we spending our taxpayer money to torture people in New York State? We've got to stop it. Next up, we have Assemblymember Weprin, who is the chair of the Correction Committee.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, this is my 5th year as chair of the Corrections Committee. It's actually the 2nd time that the Corrections Committee has reported this bill out. The first time was in 2018 when it passed the Assembly, but of course it was a different situation in the State Senate. We never got it to the governor's office, even though at one point we thought we might have back then. But this is one of my proudest moments as chair of the Corrections Committee, to see solitary confinement in the movement, which has really made so much difference. I really want to thank my predecessor, Jeff Aubrey, for his perseverance for so many years. Jeff, I really go to Jeff on a regular basis since I became chair of Corrections 5 years ago for advice and guidance. He has been a champion. I've visited many state correctional facilities as well as local jails, and I've been in what correction officers or other people may call special housing units, which makes it sound like it's something, you know, might be fun to go to, but believe me, it is not. It really is something that really affects people and their families' mental health, possibly permanently. And the UN has called it torture. There's no question. Other people here, and I have as well, it is torture. And I really want to thank the advocates for really making this issue front and center, especially during a pandemic when you can't accost everybody in the hallways and really get the message out. So this has been phenomenal. This has moved very fast, and I like to think that I was one of the advocates internally to have it move fast for this session, because these kind of bills often come down to the end of the session, as it did in 2018. But I think I feel very optimistic that this is going to be the law of New York State very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. I promised I wasn't going to mess this up, so I'm not going to. We have Sochi on. I don't want to mess her last name up. I tried. I've been practicing, and I think the most prudent thing to do is to let her introduce herself so I don't make a mess of the name and the pronunciation. So, from the Working Families Party and a dear friend of the campaign and a fighter for the rights of working people all over this state, Sochi, please.
Thank you, Jerome. I might just go on a first name basis from now on.
That sounds good. That first name basis thing works for people. There's Cher, there's Serena. You can join Sochi, I'm saying.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Sochi Nemeka, Director of the New York State Working Families Party. And it's such a pleasure to be here today celebrating this massive grassroots organizing victory and moral victory that is the end of solitary confinement in New York State. It's such a pleasure to be here with leaders at the federal level and the state level. I want to offer my kudos and deep appreciation to Senator Salazar and Assemblymember Aubrey for leading this fight, as well as the advocates and freedom fighters who've been holding down this campaign, from RAP, Vocal, NYCLU, and of course, must lift up and honor the directly impacted New Yorkers who have bravely lent their voices and experiences to prevent this inhumane practice from ever happening again. Thank you to Darlene, to Sammy, to Natasha, to Melania. I stand beside you. Thank you for lending yourselves, your voices to this moment. Last year, we all saw New Yorkers march in the streets and take to the ballot box to demand that we collectively reckon with the structural anti-Black racism and the wanton cruelty in our criminal legal system. Solitary confinement is a glaring example of that wanton cruelty. We know that solitary confinement causes immense suffering and devastating physical and mental harm and fatal harm to our fellow New Yorkers. New Yorkers like Layleen Polanco, Khalif Browder, Ben Van Zandt, Dante Taylor, who all lost their lives in the grips of state-sanctioned violence. We must say their names. We must crusade in their honor. So it's with joy and relief and liberatory promises for all New Yorkers that we celebrate the Assembly voting to pass HALT Solitary Act last night. Tomorrow, or today, I'm not sure what Senator Gianaris says, tomorrow, we expect that the Senate will do the same, and we urge every single member of that body to stand on the right side of history. Who knows how many lives could have been saved had this passed a decade ago? There is no time to waste. We must move at warp speed to end the on-the-ground practice itself. And as soon as the Senate passes this bill tomorrow, the governor must immediately sign it, or the Senate must flex that supermajority that Senator Gianaris spoke to and ensure that it happens on the ground right away. And as we look towards the next fight on our path to decarcerate and put humanity in New York, we have to hold on to a key insight from this victory. It was tireless organizers and impacted people leading together with legislative champions who have led and won this fight. We have to apply that formula again to win the world and the state that we know that we all deserve. So thank you, kudos, let's keep fighting.
Thank you so much to you, Sochi, and to the Working Families Party for standing with us in this fight. Next up, we have Sammy Werkheiser, who is my sister in this fight, a HALT Solitary campaign member and a survivor of solitary.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say that all of us that are activists and advocates, we were on the edge of our seats for hours and hours and hours. And my man stood up there, and there were moments where I felt like he was my dad, he was my grandfather, he was everything. They just kept coming at him, coming at him, coming at him. He said, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you, my man." He just kept going. He kept going, and he was there for me. He was there for me. He was there for me. I'm going to just share a quote with you, and the quote is from To Kill a Mockingbird and the famous lawyer Atticus Finch. And he said, "Courage is when you know you're licked before you begin, but you begin anyway, and you see it through no matter what." I listened to all of you speak. I know what the votes were. Those of you that are going to vote, those of you that did vote, I just want to say that I have someone here that has a message for you. And I believe he's the youngest survivor of solitary confinement. This is my son, Julius Kingston. Hi. And he has a message for you. Pass HALT now. Yeah, that's exactly it. And his face is the future. He might be the next Jeff. And he might marry the next Julia. We don't know what's going to happen. But I just want to say I'm proud. And we just want you to know that our family is very, very proud. We love all of you. We heard all of you. We now know all of you. And we just want to say from our family, thank you. Say bye. Bye.
Hi, Julius.
Man, how do you follow that? Man, I'm in tears over here, man. Come on, you messing up my thing. Julius, you stole the show, man. It's supposed to have been I love you, kid. I love you. Oh, man, listen. So, oh my goodness, go, Tiana.
Okay, yep. So thank you so much, Julius and Sammy. We really do love you here at the HALT Solitary campaign. You bring so much joy to us through it all. Next up, we have Donna Lieberman, the Executive Director of New York Civil Liberties Union. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's so great to be here with everybody today to raise our voice to pass the HALT Act and end state-sanctioned torture known as solitary confinement. It causes severe and irreparable mental and physical trauma, so severe and so irreparable that the UN has deemed solitary confinement for more than 15 consecutive days torture. And in New York, it's torture reserved almost exclusively for Black and Latinx men. According to a 2019 NYCLU analysis, 99% of the people in solitary are men, 57% are Black, and 24% are Latinx. Right now, there are no limits in New York State on the total time a person can spend in solitary. It can go on for weeks, for months, for years, even decades. The average is 105 days. That's more than 3 months. But in 2019, 2,600 people were held in SHU for more than 90 days, and 131 were tortured in solitary for a year or longer. The effects we know can be deadly. In 2019, we said Layleen Polanco's name. In 2015, we said Khalif Browder's name. We continue to say their names and Dante Taylor's names. And we also say not one more life will be taken or destroyed in New York State by the state-sanctioned torture that is solitary confinement. We say no backroom deals, no half measures, no window dressings. New Yorkers demand and deserve full transformation, and that is the HALT Act, humane alternatives to long-term solitary confinement. And full implementation would reduce the average daily population in solitary by double the reduction that DOCS's regulatory amendments, half measures, claim to be able to achieve. It'll also sharply reduce the duration of solitary confinement outside of solitary housing units. Simply put, HALT will save lives. It will stop torture, and it will make prisons, jails, and our communities safer. The NYCLU is proud to push for the passage of HALT, and we expect Albany leaders, the real leaders in Albany today, to act quickly. Thank you, everybody, for being here for so long, for hanging in. Let's halt solitary.
Thank you so much. Thank you and the NYCLU for all of the legal support. And when we couldn't get them as advocates, you got them as lawyers, and so they were got, and that is a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for your continued support. I have the honor and the pleasure right now of introducing to you the bishop. You know, this thing comes from a high authority now. We even bringing out the biggest guns in Albany, the Bishop Edward Scharfenberger. Will you grace us on this St. Patrick's Day? You took the time out of, I'm sure it was a busy day for you to join us, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerome. Right, I'd like to thank you right out for your courage and personal witness as a survivor of long-range solitary confinement. And all of the organizers of this movement who have worked to pass the HALT Solitary Confinement Act. And I also want to thank Speaker Carl Hesty and Assembly Member Jeff Aubrey for getting it passed again in the Assembly yesterday, and also Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins and Senator Julia Salazar for leading the way in the Senate. We look forward to its passage tomorrow and pray that it'll be signed into law soon. I'm with you today, not only representing myself, but also Cardinal Dolan and all of my brother bishops across New York State. You know, as Catholic bishops, we come to this issue from a perspective on human dignity, which can never be surrendered or taken away, even for those behind prison walls. We're not Pollyannish. We understand that our state prisons are home to some with histories of violent crimes, and punishment is indeed one facet of our criminal justice system. But it's not the only facet. Punishment without rehabilitation, without restoration for all, criminal, victim, and society falls woefully short. Solitary confinement, as We've heard so many stories of today has no place in our criminal system. It takes people who are broken in some way and breaks them further, sometimes until they cannot be broken anymore, leading people to take their own lives and to descend further into anger or mental illness. We human beings are social in nature. This is how God created us. And from the earliest stories in our scriptures, we see this. We are not intended to live in complete isolation. In fact, isolating a person is one of the worst things you can do to them, which is why long-term solitary confinement is torture. Jesus understood this very well, which is why he commanded his followers to visit those who are in prison. In my priesthood, and especially since I've become bishop, I've had many occasions to visit with people in prison, to celebrate Mass, to hear their confessions, and simply to sit with them. And I always come away myself better for it, because I see for myself the possibility of redemption for all of us. Our Lord never gives up on anyone. So thank you for inviting me to speak today, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you for joining us today. Continue praying for us, because it's not over yet, and we still need those prayers. We hope that you and the bishops and the cardinal will be instrumental in helping us get our good Catholic governor to sign this bill once it's already on his desk. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much. God bless you.
Bless you. And man, I know I never been to the Grammys. I never had a Golden Globe. I never did none of that. But I get to introduce a hero of mine, a hometown favorite, a legendary man. And I get to say one of his lines, because we about to break it up, break it up, break it up, break it down. We about to break down solitary. And the man, the legendary Reverend Curtis Blow. Give us a laugh, baby. How you doing? How you doing?
All right. Thank you.
These are the breaks, brother. These are the breaks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I say thank you, everyone, for being on the call today. Wow, what a really huge group of people together, united together, trying to fight for this torture, this inhumane, wow, just this situation that's going on in our jails today. So I'm here to say I am an ordained minister for about 10 years now. And I am also presently the president of the United Coalition for Humanity. And you can check us out at ucfh.org. And we are an organization that's out there fighting for humanity, fighting against the injustices to our people. And by way of HALT, I want to shout out my brothers, James Tate and also Victor Pate, who pulled us in to this fight. And I want to tell you, it's definitely a plight against human rights. It's torture. Solitary confinement is inhumane. And we are fighting to go to the UN and bring these cases up to the UN and definitely fight for the human rights of our people. So let me end by saying that my brother died in jail. And I remember he was doing a bid up in Elmira, New York. And he was writing me. I remember several letters he wrote me talking about solitary confinement. He was like, Kurt, I can't take it. It's torture. Man, this is crazy. It's inhumane, man. They got me in solitary confinement and I don't know what to do. Please help me. I mean, I even went up to Elmira to do a free show for the jail and I tried to talk to the warden and tell him about my brother. and I performed up there for all the inmates and everything. And, you know, I thought it was all good, but, you know, my brother was killed 3 months after that. And so, you know, I tried my best to try to save him and I couldn't. So I'm asking all of you, come on, let's save these brothers who are going through this today. HALT solitary confinement. I love you all. That's all I got to say. UCFH.org. We're fighting for you. I love you. Peace.
Thank you so much, Reverend Curtis, and rest in peace. And I'm so sorry that your brother had to go like that. And we just thank you for having such a legendary artist alongside us in this fight. It means so much to us. And thank you so much. Next up is my other sister in this fight, Natasha White, a HALT Solitary campaign member and a survivor of solitary. Thanks for joining us, Natasha.
Hi, thank you. First, I would like to say thank you to all that have supported us in this fight. The passing of this bill in the Assembly is an awesome victory for us and is history in the making. My name is Natasha White, and I'm a community organizer for the HALT Solitary campaign and a directly impacted survivor of solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is torture. Doctors, wives, husbands, and family members have all testified to the long-term effects of solitary confinement. Year after year, numerous people have taken their own lives due to not being able to deal with what is happening in their own mind as a result of solitary. Others mutilate themselves just to get a trip to the hospital, starving for human interaction. Loved ones have had to literally watch a shell of the person they once knew because the torture of being isolated has stolen their spirit. Wives have lost their husbands. As a result, I lost my husband and almost lost my life due to the fact that the damage caused by all the years he was in solitary made it impossible for him to deal with regular life issues, turning our once loving relationship into a violent one. All he learned in solitary was to be alone. I stand here today to tell you again that solitary confinement is useless, detrimental, serves absolutely no purpose. It is just another way to dehumanize our loved ones while it ruins the lives of all parties involved. Because it is not just a prison issue, it is a people issue. As a previously incarcerated and directly impacted woman, it is my duty to bring to you the truth and advise you. Oh, guys, I hate when people do that. Excuse me, somebody was calling my phone. It is my duty to bring you the truth and advise you to hold elected officials accountable for the torture of our loved ones. It's no coincidence that the majority of people in solitary are Black and brown. That's all a part of the plan, to keep us in chains. Lock us up, then lock us in. We've won in the Assembly. Thursday, we take on the Senate. We will not stop. Passing HALT is a must. 8 is enough. Let's get it done in 2021. I normally have my HALT solitary shirt on. Today, I chose to wear this. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. Assata Shakur said that, and now I say it. Thank you, everyone. Yesterday was a blessing. We couldn't sleep last night, and I love you all. HALT solitary.
Thank you so much, Natasha. I love you too. You know, you're my girl, my sister in this fight. Always. So next up, we have Senator Biaggi. Thank you for joining us. Senator, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. Can you see me?
Yes.
My cat house behind me. Good morning. Thank you very much. Apologies for that small little glitch. I just want to say that I have attended so many different press conferences with this coalition about HALT solitary, and I have never smiled in one of them. And part of that is because I have felt like many of you, like it was not going to happen, or like we'd have to bring the force of God down to make sure that this bill would be passed. And the fact that we are convening today after the Assembly has already passed this bill, and as the Senate is preparing to do that, it's just remarkable. And it would never have happened without all of your voices and all of your strength and all of your fighting. And I am just humbled and honored to be able to be one of those voices that is adding to the coalition of power that has been built here, because I've said it many, many, many times. Solitary confinement is a violation of human rights, and every single day that we allow for solitary confinement to continue in the state of New York, the state of New York is engaging in human rights violations. And not only is it that, it is also a psychological warfare and leaves people not only traumatized, but it prevents them from even being able to heal once they are released from prison. It is one of the most outrageous acts that this criminal justice system has taken, and it has not only taken it, it has abused it to the fullest extent. And so I am not only grateful that we're going to be passing this bill, but when we do pass this bill, I hope that we go even further in the chapter amendments and are able to apply it to any kind of jail or prison that has less than 500 beds, because any facility that has or is able to use solitary confinement as a tool is one too many. So I am, again, very grateful to all of you. I had so many things prepared to say, but I think gratitude is the place to perch from. And I really look forward to putting my voice behind the bill once it is passed and while we're in the process of passing it, and to making sure that the governor signs it swiftly and does not delay, because this bill should be delivered immediately. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Biaggi, and thank you for wanting to take it further. I like this new attitude that we got in our Senate and our Assembly of real progressive people, not who say it, but who speak it and do it. So let's get this done. I appreciate it, and we will be looking for you to do that. I do want to say this, we will be remiss in not mentioning the name of our former lead sponsor in the Senate, Luis Sepulveda, and thank him for championing the bill as long as he did until the great Senator Salazar took control. Thank you so much, Mr. Sepulveda. Thank you so much. I get to introduce the person I've been waiting all day to. My girl, this young lady stole my heart with her tears, stole our souls with her commitment to standing up for her dearly departed sister. She has been an activist from the moment her sister took her last breath, and she promises until she takes her own last that she will be fighting for everybody's freedom and safety. I bring to you Melania Brown, the sister of the deceased and murdered by solitary, Darlene Polanco.
Thank you so much, Jerome. My name is Melania Brown. I'm an activist and sister of Darlene Polanco. I lost my baby sister on June 7th, 2019 to solitary confinement simply because of her gender identity. They didn't know how to house her, and against medical objections and medical and staff advice, they still placed her in solitary confinement. I first and foremost want to start by thanking all the Assembly members for fighting with us and for getting this passed, and for senators, legislators that are working hard to make sure that this bill is passed. Aubrey, I want to hug you. Yesterday, you didn't hear me, but every time you stood up, I'm telling you, you didn't hear me, but I was screaming. You stood up for us. You stood up like a champ, like a warrior, and it felt so good to just, every time they came against us, you stood up for us and you held your ground 10 toes down, and I appreciate you for that. And I know my sister she was in heaven yesterday doing her favorite thing, twerking. So I just want to say thank you to all you guys. I appreciate all you guys. Yesterday, for the first time since June 7, 2019, was the first time that I was able to smile, to laugh, to actually feel joy that I was not faking. I've been faking a smile since June 7, 2019. And for the first time, you guys gave me a smile. For the first time, you guys I felt how it felt to actually smile and mean it. My baby sister did not deserve to die alone. My baby sister, she was full of life. My baby sister only ended in prison to begin with because of her survival sex work, because she was discriminated from every door that she went and knocked on. It was stories of my sister coming back to me crying, and I'm trying to calm her down, and she was mad because the world just rejected her. So she turned to sex work for survival, and that's how she ended in solitary confinement, just because she wanted to survive. She did not deserve to die alone. That video of the correctional officers haunts me every day of my life since the first time that I seen it in 2019. Is a video, is an image that I can't get off my head. Just watching my baby sister going into solitary confinement sad. You could see it in her face. You could see that she didn't want to go back in there. And just watching her moments later, that door open, and watching 3 correctional officers that should have went in there to help her, laugh at her. They could have saved her life. My sister could have been here today, but they refused to do so. Their best option was to laugh at her. Moments later, I see my sister come out in a body bag. I don't want no other family members to go through what I went through, through what my family is going through. They gave me and my family a painful life sentence that we are now forced to face. And I took my pain and I turned my pain into fighting for others, to being the voice, not just for her, but for others that are not being heard. And I will continue to do so until my last dying breath. I will continue to stand for the rights of others that can't speak for themselves. What happened to my sister should have never happened to her. I wish that on no one. I don't even wish that. I don't even have enemies, but if I do, I don't wish that on them either. My sister was full of life. My sister she was an angel to earth. She was a healing person. She did not deserve to die that way. But through me, I will continue her fight. I will continue her legacy. I will continue. If I could save one life, that brings me joy. That helps me with my grieving process. You guys, thank you so much. I cannot show gratitude enough. Words are not enough to describe how much you guys all mean to me and how much I just want to hug each and every one of you. Catalina Cruz, thank you so much for reading my op-ed. It was very meaningful. It felt so good to hear you guys saying my sister's name. Every time I heard her name, you don't understand how much joy it brought me. It made me feel like these last couple of years that I've been fighting, I was being heard. At times I felt like I wasn't being heard. I felt empty every time I did an interview, or every time I sat in a meeting. I felt empty when I turned off that camera. I felt broken. I broke more into pieces, and you guys are helping mend all those pieces together. So every time you guys said my sister's name, I felt heard. I was heard. Thank you so much for this whole incredible team, and HALT Solitary will pass, and we will continue this fight because we have many other things to change in this justice system. But thank you. Thank you. I cannot show my gratitude enough. Thank you so much for hearing me and for keeping my sister alive.
Thank you, Melania. Thank you. Thank you for turning your misery into your ministry, and for helping us. Your story, the story of your sister, has been a beacon like Khalif Browder's to wake people up. I think that you're an amazing woman, and we love you. You know that. You know that. Man, this gets so emotional, and this is why we are so grateful to you, because our hearts have been breaking for so long, and we have felt unheard, and we've watched our people die. And, though we talk about the people who have actually left, which is the greatest loss, we have so many people walking around. We have a sea of walking dead that suffered from solitary confinement. And this will end that. Thank you. A friend of this campaign from day one till now, a person who knows what lived experience really means and what it is to triumph from lived experience to successful life. The ED, Executive Director of NIASPRA's, Harvey Rosenthal.
Thank you, Jerome. And I'm so touched to be with you today. I'm So moved. I represent tens of thousands of people with mental illnesses across New York. We've been with you back to the shoe exclusion law in 2008. We've stood with you all the way through. You're an extraordinary group, as I've said so many times. In all my 30 years of being an advocate, I've never seen a group like this, but it's because you want to save lives and you know the suffering and you make it so real for all of us. I want to thank the legislature, the assembly members that voted for some on both sides of the aisle. I really want to thank Jeff Aubrey, who I told him 10 years ago I would work for him in a campaign for governor, and I still feel that way. I think he's an extraordinary human being, and his humanity was shown last night. I want to tell you, as you know, mental illness is wrapped all around the criminal justice system and in the solitary confinements, in the suicides, in the torture. If you didn't have a mental illness before you were in the box, you certainly would leave with one. Racism is a big issue here. It permeates our criminal justice and mental health systems. If we did our job in the mental health system, many more people of color would not be arrested on the streets unduly or killed by the police. And they certainly wouldn't wind up in solitary confinement in the way that they do. So racism is a huge issue we must confront in both systems. I'm trying to hurry there, Jerome, to get as much as I can in here. But I just want to say, one last thing I'll say is that the key to HALT, as far as we're concerned, is the building of the rehab cells, the rehab treatment, the mental health treatment that will be afforded people instead of torture, instead of being alone and despairing and committing suicide. Mental health treatment and rehabilitation and peer support must be afforded to everyone in the jails and prisons. And we have to work for that. But the rehabilitative cells and the ban on solitary confinement of people with mental illness is critical to our community, and we'll stand with you all the way. The governor said throughout this experience of COVID, he talked about mental health and mental illness. He has no excuse in not signing this bill as soon as it is put on his desk. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Harvey. And they fired me again, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Senator Hoylman, you're next.
Thank you, Jerome. Thank you, everyone. State Senator Brad Hoylman, so proud to be supportive of this incredibly important bill. So proud of my colleagues in the Assembly and my Senate colleagues, Senator Salazar for picking up the mantle so successfully, Senator Gianaris for helping make this possible, along with our leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, and all of my Senate colleagues, the new Senate Democratic majority, I'm proud to say, helped make this possible. But, I will say that we should invoke the names of those we lost in solitary. So certainly, Melania, your sister, Layleen, is now an LGBTQ civil rights and human rights icon. And you have turned pain into progress through your actions. And I just want to thank you for that, along with, Jerome, your efforts, Tiana, Jared Chassaw, my former colleague, Darlene Mcday, thank you. Natasha White, of course, Scott Paltrowitz, who used to bring his baby to these rallies, and Katie, of course, and Sammy and Julius, really everything everyone is doing. We have had many highs during this campaign, but you know better than I, many crushing lows, and we've gotten so close so many times, but I'm so happy that we're finally getting to the finish line and having all these fantastic colleagues and supporters. When we pass it tomorrow in the state Senate, and when the governor signs the legislation into law, and we have to demand that he do so immediately, the same day, New York will finally join the ranks of civilized societies. So what you're doing today could not be more important. I'm just so grateful to have been supportive and be able to witness this history being made. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Holman, and thank you for win, because it will be done. Thank you so much.
And I love your new logo.
Thank you. Assemblymember Simon.
Thank you so much. It is, it's great to see so many people here that I've seen for all these years working on this bill. I couldn't be more proud and just honor more Jeff Aubrey for his work getting this bill passed, and to you, Jerome, and to Tiana and all of the advocates and the survivors. Really, it has been heartbreaking. It has been a labor of love to work on this bill. It is what we need to do. It is about humanity. And, as I said yesterday, it really, solitary is about man's inhumanity to man. And here in New York State, we will be ending this practice. And I am just so grateful to have been a part of this and to have had the honor to actually vote for this at a time when I know it will pass both houses. And we hope and pray that the governor will sign it immediately and bring relief to so many people. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Simon. Next up, we have Senator John Liu.
Yes, thank you so much. I know a lot's been said already. Hey, Jess, look, we're going to vote on this bill tomorrow. Finally, at long last, I will say thank you to the advocates who have been pushing this. I still remember back in June 2019 when we finally finished the session, we finally finished the session, and I came out to see all of you in the hallway, and I really felt bad that we didn't get it done in 2019. And of course, last year just became a total wash, but I'm really happy that we're finally ending this ridiculous human torture in supposedly the great state of New York. So thank you to my colleague, Assemblyman Aubrey, who's been talking to me about this literally for decades. And once again, I want to thank the individuals who have given their really heart-wrenching testimonial. We need to get New York back on the right track, and this will bring us a big step forward. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Senator Liu. For the sake of time, we'll go right along, move right along. Next up, we have Assemblymember Gonzalez Rojas.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. This is such a historic time to be in the legislature. I'm only 2.5 months in, but I came in with a goal to get this done, and I'm so honored to be part of history. I also want to just thank Assemblyman Aubrey. He's my neighbor in Queens, and he's just been a champion for decades. And but mostly it's you all. It's your fight, it's the struggle, it's the pain, it's the loss, it's the trauma that's turned into this moment. I want to thank everyone for sharing their stories. Sammy, I don't know, I see your name, I don't see your face, but I'm so grateful you trusted me with your story, with Jacinta's story, with Julius's story. I shared it on the floor yesterday. It was hard to keep it together, but I do this for Jacinta Rain. I do this for Dante Taylor. I do this for Lieberman Polanco. I do this for Khalif Broward and so many others who have been lost, too many that have been lost to this cruel and vicious system of torture. I do have to say, it's not a complete abolishment of the practice. I think we actually need to continue to fight to fully abolish the practice. But this is a major step forward in the face of a powerful adversity and powerful lobby against it. But we're standing on the right side of history. I cannot wait for my Senate colleagues to get it done. Thank you. And we have to pressure the governor to sign this immediately, because this torture needs to end now. Like it's 17 years too long. It's too many lives too long. So again, my heart goes to all the activists and advocates and impacted families, because your fight has turned into this historic moment, and I love you all.
Thank you so much. We love you too. Assemblymember Jackson.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I don't know if you guys got to hear my story on the floor yesterday, but I talked about my personal situation with HALT solitary and my ex-husband, who was in jail for 4.5 years. And I had to relive that experience just as a visitor, as a family member. So I just can't imagine what it was like for him on the inside. And so it brought me, great joy to be able to speak on it, to see us pass it. However, like my colleague Jessica said, it's not enough. It does not go far enough. First of all, people don't belong in cages. And so, that when we talk about like what else has to be done, well, we need to redefine what rehabilitation looks like. And as a mental health worker, as a social worker, I'm telling you all that we are not doing any justice by having anyone locked up. And so we need to figure out a better way to serve our people, because the truth is, just like our great Aubrey said, those people come back to our communities. When you have someone in HALT and you just release them straight to the streets, they come back into our communities and they have not dealt with the mental health issues that they experienced while there, or even why they even got there in the first place, right? And so we have so much work to do, but I'm just grateful that I was able to share my story, share my ex-husband's story. I spoke up Khalif Browder story as well, because I got a chance to talk to Akeem, his brother, the day before, and he shared words with me for me to share on the floor. So I'm just grateful to be here with you all, and I thank you all for the work that you do. And trust me, you have an advocate who lived the life as a family member of someone who was in solitary. My brother is in Rikers right now, so I'm praying for him and his safe return home. And so I just thank you all for this work.
Thank you, Assemblymember Jackson. Your candidness, your passion, your compassion, and your lived experience all shone through really brightly yesterday, and it moved all of us. I can tell you, I was moved to tears more than once yesterday, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And one time was during your impassioned plea. And we thank you for being so candid, so frank, so open. It is when transparency comes from people that you put in office, it's really something empowering for the people who put you there, because we know what we see is what we get, and that's all you can ever ask for. And thank you. Assemblymember Callis, thank you. I'm sorry for holding you.
Oh God, no worries whatsoever. I get to be here. That's the grace of it. So I following Chantel, I just want you to know that your time on the floor for me as well, tears for myself, for so many people. But as I said, on social media too, you were the voice, you were the champion for everyone here. This is what change making looks like. And to have a face on the floor with such personal experience. Melania, Sammy, you have reached out. You were in my heart yesterday. Hearing the names, Laylene, Dante, Kayleen, Ben, Caliph, like all these names in my head ringing, because the messages that we were hearing yesterday of, prison isn't supposed to be comfortable, and this is what keeps, guards safe, and we've got, violence increasing in prisons. And all I kept thinking is, if violence are increasing in prisons, and this is the main tool that you're using, how have you not linked those two? How have you not linked those two?
No.
It like drives me absolutely nuts. The tool doesn't work. And as a scientist, as a public health scientist, it's so infuriating. It's so enraging, because everything in the scientific literature says harm reduction is the model. Harm reduction is the model. Trauma-informed care is the model. So if we really want to say that we're doing corrections, we really want to say we're doing rehabilitation, then what are we basing our decisions off of? So, one of the things that I was feeling yesterday is, I'm not leading, I'm just riding the wave that you have all created. And when I say that this is what change making looks like, I can't tell you how much compassion I felt for being able to be with you all. You are all in the room with us. You are so in the room with us because we have sat with you. We've heard these stories. They have entered into our hearts, into our souls, and our job was solely to bring you in the room with us, to share it with you. So I just wanted you to know that you all, every single story, every single person, you are in my heart. You are holding my hand. You are my heroes. You are my champions. And this was all for you. This is for all of us. These for all the people who are in solitary right now. I just want us all to hear the voice that we are screaming out to them. For every single person right now in solitary, I want more than anything for them to know they are not alone. So let's just keep yelling this as loud as we can. Tomorrow will be an important day. We cannot stop. The governor must sign this. Like Salazar said earlier, I think it was Biaggi said, I can't remember who said it, but we need a chapter amendment next. And we need to keep moving. This shouldn't be capped at 500. We bring it down, then we move to the next thing, and we move to the next thing. For every person who has been a champion, you know, we are here so that you can take a moment, take a break, like breathe, celebrate this. We will carry it when you come back in, because we're all a team. We're all a family in this, and I feel it. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of it. Thank you so much for letting me be on this wave with you. Thank you so much for being my heroes.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Kellis, and thank you to every single Assembly member that brought us advocates onto the floor with you yesterday and casted those 101 votes. Thank you all so much. Next up, we have Assemblymember Anderson. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, Tiana. And thank you all so much for getting us here today. I want to thank my colleagues for having the courage to not only be on the floor yesterday and share the critically important stories that have impacted our lives, their lives, and your lives, and our community's lives, but we're also had the courage to take this vote and to take this mantle that we, again, as a freshman and as a new underclassman, if you will, our colleagues jumped right into it and said this is something that we absolutely have to pass. And I believe all the freshmen voted yes yesterday, 101 votes, which gives us a veto-proof majority on the Assembly side, and we're hopeful that our colleagues in the Senate side will do the same thing. But this is a human rights issue, and as I said yesterday, and it's also a civil rights issue. As I said yesterday on the floor, it's the advocates, it's the activists, it's the elected leaders, it's the people who built coalition and came together to end this brutal and torturous practice of solitary confinement. When I visited Green Haven Detention Facility, we stopped by the SHU, which is the segregated housing unit, and we saw the conditions human beings were living under. And I even gestured on the floor of the Assembly about how they can't even stretch their arms out in the cell or even let alone do a jumping jack. We shouldn't be caging human beings. We should be working to rehabilitate them. We should be working to correct behavior, not overly punish and create an environment where people don't have access to quality air, right? It's so small, you can't even breathe in some of those cells, and it was extremely painful. I also want to give a special shout out to Chantel, my colleague, Assemblywoman Jackson, who so bravely shared her personal story. I was on the floor and I was on the other side of the chamber, a couple of seats away from her. And I felt it. I felt the energy, I felt the pain, I felt the passion, and I felt the real commitment that her and our class have to ensure that we end discriminatory and torturous practices like HALT, solitary confinement, but also making sure we make a fair, more just criminal justice system. And last thing before I stop talking and keep my one international minute, as Jerome says, is I want to say that this is the basement, as Jerome said. I said the floor, he said the basement. This is the basement. We have so much more work to do, so far to go, to really work to address racism and structural racism that exists within the criminal justice system. And it starts here by ending this cruel and unjust practice. So I'm so thankful. And I see Tiana, thank you so much for allowing me to be your advocate, to enter your space, to enter the space of your family, and to be vulnerable with me in this moment together as we fight against a system that has put us down for so long. So thank you so much. Again, this is the basement. We still got so much more to go. And we've got committed colleagues who are on this phone, committed activists, committed allies who will help us do this work. Thank you so much. Let's win again.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Anderson, and thank you for visiting Greenhaven and visiting my father. It means so much for you to be advocating for us. Next up, we have Assemblymember Burdick.
Thank you very much. It's an honor really to be here. And, you know, I have to give tremendous shout out to Assemblymember Aubrey, who for years had worked tirelessly to bring this to the floor, beaten back year after year. And yet, you know, it's that myth of Sisyphus of rolling the rock up the hill only to have it pushed back down again. And he kept at it. And it was a sight to behold yesterday with the really outrageous comments of the minority that would have you believe that solitary was like going to a Motel 6. And yet he came back time and again and countered in his gentlemanly way that you're just not telling the truth. You have no idea. Before coming to the assembly, I was supervisor, which is like mayor of the town of Bedford. And for 7 years, I worked closely with support groups for the women incarcerated at Bedford Hills. And I performed wedding ceremonies there. And I could see how rehabilitation works. Rehabilitation works. How that results in very low recidivism rates and treats people with the humanity and dignity to which every person is entitled. So I would just ask that each and every one of you, please continue your fight. It's not over until it's over. There's no doubt that the Senate will pass it, but then we need to focus on the governor. And as my colleagues have said, we have a supermajority and we will exercise it if the governor has the temerity to veto this. So thank you so much for your work. You are in the ones that have been making this happen, your personal stories that are so heartrending, and people are listening, people are hearing, people are acting. We will make this happen. Thank you so very much. And my apologies, but I have to run off to the session of the assembly, which now is taking place. Thanks so much again.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Burdick. And you're so right when you say every single person deserves humanity. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Assemblymember Fernandez.
Thanks so much, guys. Thank you to the advocates, because when I first entered the assembly, I came in a special. So I started in May of 2018, and we passed HALT in June of 2018. And it was such a pivotal moment, at least for me, to further instill why I am doing what I'm doing. To see the family members, the supporters, and the members stand up and stand with Jeff Aubrey. And I have to give him the biggest shout out, because it's so amazing to see him lead. And it brings me to tears too, because the work he's put in for so many years really carries this body, and his wisdom is unmatched. So I really want to thank him for that. But I'm so happy that we got to this moment. So happy. And it's been tough, because 2018, we passed it. 2019, we lost Layleen. 2020, we continue to see our family members suffer even more than before with COVID. So this was something we needed to do day one this session. And I'm so proud that we got it done this early. And I'm even more excited that it's going to pass and that we have the power to make it law. And now continuing to have that power to push it further. And I want to, again, acknowledge every single person in this room, because without your passion, without your strength, without your dedication, I don't know if we would have gotten this far. HALT Solidarity, Vocal, everybody in this movement, you've kept this movement alive and really have kept it in the forefront of legislators like me, who could not turn away, who could not stand by and not continue to speak about it, remind our legislators how important this was. So I want to thank you for making this happen. I want to thank you for being that change in this state. And, you know, we talk about now how the governor needs to sign it and, you know, we're going to put the pressure on him, but we really don't need him. we showed him that the power of the people are stronger than the people in power. And if he, you know, chooses, he said this before, if he's an honorable man, he will do this no question easy. And if he's not, then we will flex on him, because there's no time to waste. We have so much more to do, and we're gonna start the second that pen ink is dry. So thank you for letting me be with you here. I am always gonna be here with you. We need to lead this state with compassion and love, because as we've seen so many times, love conquers all. So thank you so much, everyone. Keep in the fights, let's keep going.
You know what, Assemblymember Fernandez, they had you last on the list, but you were not the least. You ended this up perfectly. Your tears of joy and emotionalism was spot on. Your words of wisdom was spot. Your flexing. Your flexing words are big. Listen, you said it. This is a movement, not a moment. Let's remember that. And we started from the bottom, and now we here, but we got so much further to go. Listen, I got my DJ hat on right now. I'm about to blow one, Kurt. Listen, we got so much more to do. We got so much further to climb. And we got things that we still have to accomplish, because after HALT, there's a whole justice roadmap that we have that has to be passed, with bills that run the gamut, that will really show how progressive and how ready we are to take this state in a direction that it has never been before, but should have been a long time ago. There are too many people of color in this state for us to have been treated the way we have been treated. And now that we are in power, we need to make those changes. It started with HALT, but it will not end there. And HALT is the basement, and the ceiling, the roof, is freedom and justice and equality for all. And we're going to get there, but we're going to get there one step at a time. And thank you for joining us on this first rung of this ladder as we climb together for justice for all. I want to thank all of you for hanging out today. We still got 100 people after an hour and a half. So either y'all are incredibly boring, or you are incredibly psyched up and ready, pumped up to fight, to continue to make change. In the words of Sam Cooke, change gonna come, and it's already started. Thank you for your 101 votes. Thank you for the votes that we will get tomorrow. Thank you for pushing HALT to where it needs to be, into law, so that we can right a wrong that has been wrong for too long. Thank you all. I want to just say this. I don't know who said it. I think it was Assemblymember Simon, but they talked yesterday about the tool of solitary confinement, and she broke it down, if it was her, and talking about tool is used to fix and repair, not break and harm. So now, HALT is the tool that we will be using to end solitary forever, and to save lives, save money, and bring our people home better than they left us when they went away. Thank you all. Thank you, my co-host, Tiana. This is the first time I did something like this with you. I appreciate it. You were lovely. Thank you to all our elected officials for showing up, from the national reps all the way down to just everyday people. This has been a real inclusive fight. And let's let them know we've only just begun to fight. The battle is not over. We've won a battle, but we are yet to win the war. And the war is to end institutional racism, oppression, and injustice. Thank you all. God bless you. And we'll see you really soon, because we know things are going to change, not just in criminal justice, but this pandemic is going to end, and we will be together again, arm in arm, hand in hand, standing together, fighting for justice. And oh yes, we will be back on the Capitol, accosting you in the hallway, so don't get too comfortable. See you soon. God bless you. Pass HALT now. Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good day. Have a great week. And thank you. We're getting it done in 2021. God bless you all. Have a great day.